What's up everyone, I'm your new host, Aaron. The current host, Ro, will be handling all the Dragon Ball videos from now on. Today we have an exciting conclusion between the Bat Devil and Denji. It brings me great joy to introduce Chainsaw Man Volume 2. You can watch Volume 1 review on our channel. Now let's go to the review. Volume 2 begins with Chapter 8, Chainsaw vs. the Bat. At first we see Denji slice off Bat Devil's arm, as the two crash through a building. This fight holds a rather special place in my heart. It was the first chapter that featured a fight I genuinely enjoyed seeing. Plus, the fight was also introduced in something else, but we'll get to that later. As Denji and the Bat Devil continue to fight, Denji yells to a bystander to run away before she is eaten. This causes the Bat Devil to ask Denji why he would allow a human to escape when he is, too, a devil. Denji punches him in response and yells that he would open the devil up if only to look at boobs. That's another thing. We have such a beautifully drawn fight in which Denji's own motivation is, well, unconventional, to say the least. It's another aspect to him that makes me so interested in the series. Denji isn't a typical protagonist by any means. That being said, the two continue to fight through the city. The Bat Devil manages to throw a car at Denji. Thankfully, Denji learns he can retract his chainsaws, which allows him to catch the car. He throws it back, but the Bat Devil uses his sonar ability to destroy the entire building behind Denji. Talk about strong. The worst appears to happen as the Bat Devil prepares to eat the driver of the car mentioned earlier. However, somehow Denji appears from the rubble. He takes out his chainsaws once more, cutting the Bat Devil to pieces. This chapter not only has Denji protecting others, but a very cinematic fight that I'm certainly looking forward to being animated. Moving on, we have Chapter 9, Rescue. This entire arc is entertaining, but this chapter specifically offers some background for Best Girl Power. The chapter starts off with how Power was living pre-Devil Hunter. She was living in the woods along with Meowie until one day the Bat Devil came and took Meowie, demanding that Power bring a human for him to eat. This prompts Power to run towards the city in search of a human, yet she wonders why she's even doing this, but recalls she loves the warmth of blood. Throughout the flashback, it's interesting to see how much Power values Meowie. Especially the information we received from devils. They're naturally uncaring, if not predatory towards humans. But Power values Maui enough to give an attempt to get her companion back. By this point, Power comes to see Meowie, who has been freed. However, there's a fair amount of Viscera around due to Denji being, literally disemboweling the Bat Devil. Power asks Denji why he saved her. Tried to get him killed in a trap. Being Denji, he points to her chest, and then makes a squeezing motion. Power, still being Power, finds this to be a foolish reason, but will allow him to touch her chest due to Maui's safety. At first, Denji starts to celebrate. However, his excitement is cut short as his arm is also cut short. A leech devil appears, the very devil that sliced off Denji's arm. Truthfully, the design of the devil is kinda creepy. It's like a bundle of worms with hair. Very gross looking, but very much satisfying monster design, I must say. Power is unable to move, which forces Denji to fight the devil, albeit single-handedly. Because he lost so much blood, Denji is unable to transform. A no-brainer, because he lost an arm. That being said, we learn that the leech devil is mad because Denji killed her boyfriend, that Bat Devil. I never knew devils could, hold romantic interests, but here we are. However, the leech devil thinks Denji is cute, so she'll let him live, but she's still going to kill Power and Maui. That leads us to Chapter 10 in the series, Con. Denji tries to fight the Bat Devil, but is obviously losing the fight. He causes the Leech Devil to question whether the Bat Devil was even defeated by someone so weak. She goes on to say that she shared a dream with the Bat Devil. The dream was to eat all the humans together, but she admits that it was an impossible, if not beautiful dream. However, we do see the Leech Devil still cares for the Bat Devil, deciding to instead kill Denji. Determined, Denji responds that he won't die until he cops a feel. This man is determined, if not motivated, huh? I mentioned this in the Volume 1 review, but it's refreshing to see a protagonist who doesn't have this extreme, be-all, end-all goal. Denji has been such a treat with such a simple reasoning for why he's doing what he's doing. And for that, we love him. But back to the story. The Leech Devil tells Denji that his dream of touching boobs is stupid. Of course, this agitates Denji, enough to challenge her to a dream battle. The meaning is simple. The person who wins the fight has a better dream. The Leech Devil accepts this challenge and the two square off. Denji is able to summon enough power for the chainsaws to stab the Leech Devil, yet he is impaled in the process. When I first read this series, this scene really put a rock in my stomach. Not even 20 chapters in, and it appears the protagonist is already KO'd, probably even maybe dead. Regardless, this is Chainsaw Man after all, and no one is really truly dead. Denji appears caught and ready to be consumed until we see a familiar figure. Aki has come to the rescue. He summons his Fox Devil, which eats the Leech Devil. Newbies of Aki's squad are ordered to evacuate into survivors while Himino and the senior to Haki is keeping watch for devils. Finally, we are introduced to a character that we have been, waiting for, but it's Aki's development. While this happens, Denji and Power are taken away for medical treatment, plus debriefing. Rest assured, cat fans, Meowie is taken as well to the vet. Surprisingly, this chapter ends on a good note, and we do not see more instrumental characters. And I really forgot how unique the character designs are for Chainsaw Man. Every character has their unique and defining style. Now on to chapter 11, Compromise. Once awake, Denji finds himself in a hospital room. Next to him is Aki, peeling an apple. Aki informs Denji that they found his arm and is reattaching itself once Denji gets enough blood. He remarks that Denji really is like a devil. If only for a moment. I'd like to pause on that. Not only has Denji died before, but he's also had a horrible ordeal of having his arm cut off and then reattached. That's something that will mess with his psyche, right? Well, maybe. It's Denji after all. But back to the story. Denji responds, noticing that Aki is talking to a devil himself during the fight, which is something interesting to note on this series as we go on. We'll see more of the relationship between Denji and the humans. But Aki does offer some insight. Aki states that devil hunters fight by making contracts with devils. I guess if you can't beat them, join them. That being said, it's bizarre to see the Safety Commission employ that very thing they're tasked with stopping. I guess devil hunting really is a double-edged sword. Aki goes on to explain that he has a contract with the Fox Devil. He exchanges a part of his body for the Fox's power. This time, he fed the Fox Devil some of his skin. This concept somewhat is the equivalent of exchange. In Full Metal Alchemist, the hunters lose something in exchange to be able to do their job. Really, truly, a paradoxical relationship. During this conversation, Aki goes on to state that devils always want the death of humans, and the same goes for fiends. However, being so good-natured, Denji counters this argument saying that Power is a good fiend. Despite trying to trap and kill him, Denji still considers Power to be good, which speaks volumes for Denji's character. Or perhaps he just wants to touch her chest. Aki counters this by saying that they caught both Power and Denji leaving their patrol area, and that Denji's blood was found in the Bat Devil's hiding place. Point blank, Aki asks Denji why he chooses to sympathize with Power, even after she tried to kill him. Aki then makes a bit of a threat. If he investigates further, he would have both the Fiend and Hybrid taken down. This is one of the reasons Aki stays one of my favorites for the most part. He isn't afraid to do what he must be done. Regardless, there is no casualties, so Aki says he will overlook the incident. If Denji obeys Aki, meanwhile, outside the room, Power is handcuffed beside Himino. Power claims she is innocent and demands to be uncuffed. Undeterred, Himino questions if this would be wise to consider if she is freed. She would most likely kill Aki. However, Aki uncuffs her and notes that the devil hunters should use all the tools available to them. In the same breath, he claims he has no intention of being friendly with the Fiend. This scene isn't a big one by any means, but we do see how Aki views those around him. Even Denji is most likely seen as a tool, something to be of use to Aki. He's committed to his job, so he'll use whatever he must. Speaking of Power, later on she shows up in Aki and now Denji's apartment, confused. Aki calls Makima, and she explains that she trusts Aki more than anyone. She also comments that Aki would be a good leash for Denji and Power. I guess the saying, 2 companies but 3's a crowd, really implies here, as now Aki is stuck with the semi-obnoxious duo. Through their conversation, we see how much power Makima has over Aki. He blushes as she is talking to him and saying that she trusts him, and appears kind of smitten with her. It's like talking to a crush. Anyways, after the call, we get a rather comedic scene with Power, visibly disgusted by vegetables in her food. She throws the vegetables away. Not only does Aki shout at her, but Denji does as well. It's pretty clear that living with Power is going to be a handful. She refuses to bathe, she won't flush the toilet, and obviously she's almost like a rabid animal. Both Denji and Aki are absolutely disgusted by this, which Power finds funny. Cleaning up the toilet is left to Denji, but Power enters the bathroom as well, telling Denji he can now touch her chest. Excited, Denji calls her an angel. I really like the dynamic between these two. They're almost like bickering children, but Denji still obviously cares. Now let's get to the chapter 12, Squeeze. The chapter begins with Power telling Denji he gets 3 squeezes. One for saving Meowie, another for killing the Bat Devil, and a third for protecting her from Top Knot. Top Knot being Aki. Power reveals that originally she wouldn't have let him touch her. but changed her mind. Poor Denji is so excited he's sweating. He makes his first squeeze, but notices something is off. An object falls to the ground, which is revealed to be a breast pad. Power explains that they belong to her, which leaves Denji a little shocked. Regardless, he ends up going in for his second and final squeeze. And Power tells Denji he is lucky to touch something so nice. She also says that she no longer needs to be a devil hunter due to Meowie now being safe. But she cannot escape Makima, so she'll help Denji with his job. Everything Power helps with or promises Denji, she does so with an almost unwilling air. One can infer that she does, in fact, care a little bit for Denji, or at least is starting to. Honestly, their dynamic is probably one of my favorite parts of the series. They grow into practically sibling bond despite Denji originally wanting to touch her chest. Yet in spite of achieving his goal of touching a chest, Denji feels disappointed and empty. Later, he's seen doing paperwork with Makima, who notices something amiss with him. Denji explains he finally achieved a dream of his, but still feels disappointed. This causes him to wonder if he will be disappointed in achieving all of his other dreams, and perhaps he'll just be happier chasing them. Makima asks him to elaborate, and Denji tells her that he touched Power's chest, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Then we start to see who Makima truly is. She grabs Denji's hand and explains that she believes doing naughty things with someone you know feels better. This is yet another instance of Makima exercising her power over people. Previously, we saw it during her phone call with Aki. Her actions cause Denji to blush and fall back. Then, Makima gets close to him and asks for a favor. She wants Denji to kill the Gun Devil. She gives him some backstory for the devil. The devil originally appeared 13 years ago, but his location has currently been unknown. He's an extremely powerful devil that makes even experienced devil hunters nervous to kill. Regardless, she believes that Denji is special and would be able to do it. She also explains that if Denji kills the Gun Devil, she will grant him one wish. Yet again, Makima's power over people is seen. The Gun Devil is described as such a powerful being, which would imply that someone unseasoned like Denji would surely die. Surely Denji is smart enough not to accept. Surely. Chapter 13, Gun Devil, begins with more questions. A very shocked Denji asks about the Gun Devil's power, and Makima elaborates. 13 years ago, fear over weapons started to build due to excessive use of firearms in both devil hunting and the wider world. So, one day, during a major terrorist event in the USA, the Gun Devil appeared. Then, we have a flashback. The scene shows a young boy reading to his parents. His older brother appears and asks the younger boy, Teo, to play with him. However, because of the snow, the older brother demands Teo to wear gloves, which leads to the younger brother re-entering the house. Suddenly and instantaneously, the house is destroyed by the Gun Devil's blast. The flashback continues on, showcasing the length of the attack upon different nations, with totals in millions killed worldwide, all under 5 minutes. It's evident from this flashback that Denji, or any other devil hunter for that matter, would practically be powerless against this immensely strong devil. Regardless, we jump back to the present, and Makima explains what the Gun Devil has been missing since. Of course, this led to a ban of all firearms worldwide, as well as an increase of power of all devils due to the heightened fear. In spite of this, Denji claims he'll defeat the Gun Devil anyway. The power Makima holds over Denji and Aki is insane. That being said, Makima explains another thing. Small bits of the Gun Devil's body were left as residue after its insane attack. By claiming these pieces and attaching them together, the Gun Devil can be resummoned and then permanently killed. The narrative then shifts to Aki and Himeno as they recover a piece of the Gun Devil. It is also revealed that the older brother in the flashback was none other than Aki. This explains his previous desire to join the Devil Hunters, that of revenge. Finally, the squad receives intel that a powerful devil has been located in Hotel Morin. The significance of this devil is the fact that it believed to have consumed a Gun Devil piece. Very convenient, huh? The previous chapter is what began this arc. Chapter 14, French Kiss, is where this arc, the Eternity Devil arc, is where things really kick off. The squad approaches the hotel, and again Denji and Power bicker like children. Aki silences the pair with gum, which is bit off softly gesturing for Aki. If I'm honest, with their dynamic he comes across as such an unwilling parent, which makes his scolding of the two so much more funnier. Anyways, one of the two members, Hirokazu, RA, expresses disgust over Denji and Power's presence. Aki, however, does assure him that they're here to assist. and if they fail to follow orders, they will be dispatched. In spite of the gun bribery, Aki and Denji do start to argue and complain. Himino is able to quiet them with the promise that whoever kills the devil will receive a kiss on the cheek. Arai is surprised, but Denji shockingly refuses, as he claims Makima is his motivation. He also expresses the relationships and intimacy are only fulfilled when one side cares for the other. Himino ups the stakes, promising instead a French kiss. Of course, Denji being Denji gets excited. The group of devil hunters continues to move through the hotel. Denji and Ara argue as Aki and Himino discuss the other members of their squad, speaking of the high likelihood of their deaths. In response to this, Himino orders Aki not to die. We can see that even early on, Himino cares deeply for Aki. And the narrative shifts to a flashback of Aki being introduced to Himino. She stands next to the grave of her old partner, and explains that she had 6 partners before Aki. Again, she commands Aki not to do the same. In the present, Himino is able to sense something nearby. A door opens, and a small creature trots out. Honestly, for a devil, it's kinda cute in a mundane way. Finally, we are towards the end of the Volume 2. Chapter 15, Endless 8th Floor, begins with the small creature we saw in the previous chapter. It leaps at Kobeni, but is locked in place by Himino and her contract with the Ghost Devil. Power cuts the creature in half, and Himino explains that she gave her right eye in order to use the Ghost Devil's invisible right hand. They continue upstairs, and as they reach the top, Arai notices that despite moving towards the 9th floor, the signs still place them on the 8th. He runs down the stairs to check, and suddenly appears at the top of the stairs. Wanting to confirm this theory, Aki moves through the rooms and discovers they're circular. The group concludes that because of the devil's unknown power, they're trapped on the 8th floor. This is when Kobeni begins to panic, which proves to be a bit of a pain later. As they sit in the hotel room, the squad discusses the small creature was most likely a decoy to trap them. Clearly, this further alarms Kobeni, who reveals she only became a devil hunter out of desperation, otherwise her alternative was selling her body. Power being power, she laughs at Kobeni, as Himino tries to calm her. This scene interests me for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I love the panel, and any panel of Kobeni. She's so outwardly nervous, and is drawn as such. You can just tell how alarmed she is. Secondly, there's a bit of a parallel between Himino and Aki. Both take on a bit of a parental role, and in Himino's case, a nurturing one. That said, Aki notes that the clock has stopped at 8:18, which makes him believe the floor itself is trapped in time, making their escape impossible. Denji, however, is delighted by this, and chooses to take a nap. And again, we see how carefree Denji is. Plus, the poor kid probably never had a proper nap. Somehow, he's able to fall peacefully asleep. Last but not least, for Volume 2, we have Chapter 16, First Taste. At the start of the chapter, Himino awakens Denji and tells him they're still stuck. Meanwhile, Aki has continued to hunt for the devil. Arai, on the other hand, has grown restless and locked himself away, while Kobeni has been knocked out because she tried to drink from a toilet. If there's one thing about Kobeni, it's consistency. While they await Aki's return, Himino has explained that she gave Aki an appreciation for cigarettes. Finally, more Aki background. From a flashback, we see a younger Aki and Himino discussing cigarettes. Himino claims that due to the short lifespan of devil hunters, they can afford to indulge in them. Meaning, the effects of the long-term use of cigarettes won't matter, as devil hunters die early in their job. Later on, Himino is approached by a woman who slaps her. Once she leaves, Himino reveals the woman was her ex-partner's girlfriend. She says that she has come to expect this sort of treatment, as a means of small revenge. Aki sticks gum in the woman's hair, causing Himino to laugh. Finally, at a nearby dinner, Himino asks Aki to take up smoking as a symbol of their relationship. With that, we jump back into the present as Aki returns. We discovered that the Eternity Devil, however, the small shape it took before has multiplied into large, intimidating walls of flesh. The Eternity Devil at first mocks the squad before offering them a contract. It will release them if they allow it to eat Denji. The volume ends with a cliffhanger as Kobeni appears with a knife, demanding they accept. And that's that! We have the Chainsaw Volume 2. Again, I'm your host Aaron. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. Anyways, I'll see you all next time.